Unfortunately, my TV now defaults when I turn it on to straight to GB News. Maybe again, it's the algorithm.
In the way that your web browser defaults to doing searches of AI girlfriends.
And so if I have people round and they say, oh, put the football on or something like that, up comes GB News, and it's really, really embarrassing.
Do you have to send them into the kitchen for a minute? Do you all want to go and get yourselves a drink from the kitchen?
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello, and welcome to the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes downright mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name is Graham Cluley.
And my name's Mark Stockley.
What's been going on in the wonderful world of AI this week, Mark?
Meta launches Llama 3.1.
OpenAI unveils cheaper, small AI model GPT-4o Mini.
SearchGPT is OpenAI's prototype that aims to challenge Google.
Video game performers strike over AI.
Dilbert creator claims he taught ChatGPT dangerous hypnosis techniques. Is that a sceptical laugh, I hear?
Adult content creators are making six-figure salaries from men falling in love with subservient AI girlfriends.
GB News Radio to introduce AI-generated news bulletins.
AI-powered vending machines are selling bullets.
I'm just going to guess that that's in the USA.
Yes. So some interesting stories here, Mark. You kicked off with this Llama 3.1 thing. What's that?
Yeah, we should start there. That is probably the most important thing that happened in AI in the last couple of weeks. So Meta's launched Llama 3.1, which it says is its most advanced open source AI model yet. And interestingly, it says that its testing suggests that the 405 billion parameter model, which is like the flagship model, is competitive with the leading models like GPT-4, GPT-4o, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And the big difference is that this is open source, which means you can download it and tune it to your own needs, unlike those other models.
So when I think of models, Mark, I'm sort of thinking of Claudia Schiffer and Eva Herzegovina and things like that. An AI model, just to remind me again what that is.
So an AI model is the end product of the training of the AI. So the model is the thing that you actually interact with. So when you go to ChatGPT, you're interacting with a GPT model.
Am I as likely to get a useful, interesting feedback as I would from a supermodel?
It all depends what you're asking.
What I put into it. Oh, please. SearchGPT, that's pretty interesting as well, isn't it? So this sounds like it's OpenAI's attempt to sort of challenge Google, take over.
Well, I think it's already doing that, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, you're right. For years and years, it's been impossible to imagine anybody beating Google at Google's own game.
Yeah.
Because what happens in technology normally is that somebody comes along like a Microsoft or a Google or a Facebook or whatever, and they just take out the whole market. And then they are the incumbent forever. And nobody can compete with them. You just can't compete with Google as a search engine.
Oh, well, come on. Don't forget Bing and Ask Jeeves.
But eventually what happens is somebody comes along and they says, well, what if we do this differently?
Right, yeah.
And it's the differentness that wins people over. I was actually doing that this afternoon. So I was trying to use something called Looker Studio, which is this data presentation thing. And as often happened, I didn't know how to do what I needed to do. So I went to Google and I type in what I'm looking for. And then obviously Google is just picking out some keywords from what you wrote and it's going, we think that you want pages about this. It's page after page after page of the thing I didn't want. But there are lots and lots of pages with a particular keyword that I typed in. So I went to ChatGPT. I thought, I wonder if ChatGPT can get me the right answer. And so instead of looking for a web page, which I would have to read, which would tell me what to do, ChatGPT just told me how to do the thing I needed to do. Because it's already read all the web pages. And frankly, it's amazing. So, yeah, I think Google's already dead.
It means you also don't have to burrow past all those cookie consent pop-ups and the adverts and all the other things locking you out. I mean, from that point of view, it's great. But if you were a publisher on the web, not so good, because you're less likely to get traffic, aren't you, that you've maybe been relying on in the past.
But I feel like search has been doing that for quite a long time anyway. I don't feel like Google is particularly benevolent.
But Google has tried to plug in AI into its search engine before. Just recently, they have that Google AI overviews thing.
Is this is the thing that recommended that you put glue on your pizza? Is that?
That's right, to thicken up the pizza sauce. That's it. And they also said that eating rocks is good for you. And I won't even begin to talk about how it answered when someone asked, "Do cockroaches live in your penis?" But it's it's a dangerous game, isn't it? Getting the AI to give you the answers.
Well, it is if you're not very good at it. I don't think the problem there was AI so much as maybe just undercooked AI. I think Google's maybe panicking a bit.
Now, actors are getting all in a strop again, aren't they? This time it's video game actors.
Sorry, I'm going to sound very old here. Video games have actors?
Yes, Mark, yes. They're concerned AI is going to replace their roles.
Yeah, AI is 100% going to replace their roles. Like, if it can't replace you in a computer game, literally, what's the point?
But the thing is that people who are signing up for some work with the video game companies, or indeed with Hollywood as well, they have to be careful that their contract isn't saying, well, we're going to scan you in, we're going to take your voice, and we have the rights to do whatever we like with you in future. So you may just get paid once and then be used for hundreds of years afterwards. One of the actors who's upset is Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
He claims to be an actor, at least. And he says he is terrified of AI using his body and face. When he's dead, he said, they're just going to steal my body and do whatever they want with it. He was... He was, of course, in Face Off. I don't know if you remember that, which basically was the plot, wasn't it?
So, are you a fan of Dilbert?
Yeah, I like Dilbert. They were always quite funny, Dilbert and Dogbert. You don't see Dilbert so much anymore, do you? I don't know why.
I think it's because its creator is busy making videos on Rumble these days.
Oh.
So Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert,
yes,
is a bit of an internet celebrity these days on the sort of Russell Brand sort of wing of the internet.
Has he been cancelled yet? Is there some sort of...
I'm sure he is. He's on Rumble, so...
Right, so he has been, yes.
That's normally go when you're cancelled, isn't it? Oh, no, he was cancelled. He was cancelled last year for something. Well, I can't remember what it was. We should Google. We should ask ChatGPT.
Hang on, let's ask. Good question. All right. Has Scott Adams been cancelled for doing something controversial? Yes. He made controversial remarks on his YouTube show about race relations. He labelled black Americans as a hate group and suggested white people should... I don't think we need to talk any more about this.
So that's why he's on Rumble.
That's why he's on Rumble. Okay, we found out. Right.
Anyway, apparently he's also a big fan of hypnosis.
Right.
And he got onto Twitter and he said, I just taught ChatGPT how to hypnotise me. It will absolutely take over your brain. It gave me an experience that's beyond psychedelics. It was basically that powerful. And it did it instantly. And it could do it as long as I wanted. And I read that and that reminded me of so many conversations I had in the playground when I was 7. But he's not going to tell you what the prompt was. He can spend an evening doing it, but you can't handle it.
So it took over his brain, he said. ChatGPT, it hypnotised him. It sounds like an excuse after a particularly leery night out. It's like, it wasn't me, it was the Jager bomb that I had.
It was the hypnot.
It was actually now ChatGPT hypnotising me that caused me to do this. He's got a bit of a history, hasn't he? Because he claimed Donald Trump was a fellow master wizard of persuasion and hypnosis in the past.
Oh, did he?
Yes, oh yes. He's got a bit of a thing about hypnosis. I think maybe the cartoons used to be quite good. What's happened? What's happened to Mr. Dilbert? Content creators apparently are making huge amounts of money creating subservient AI girlfriends for lonely men. So
are you talking about AI girlfriends again?
Well, it does seem to crop up an awful lot in my feed for some reason. I don't know.
I haven't brought any AI girlfriend stories to this podcast. And we've only done 9 episodes and you've brought in about 20.
Just like pornography has been the main reason why we got video streaming and virtual reality, it seems...
And Polaroids.
And yeah, it seems AI girlfriends are the main driving force behind AI. But according to this newspaper report, it has a dark side, this trend. And I thought, oh, really? Really?
It's literally all dark side.
Men falling in love with subservient AI girlfriends. And you can choose age ranges. It goes from about 18 to granny, as they put it, and race and bottom size and all sorts of information like this. So you can create your AI girlfriend who you can then chat with. And apparently, men are spending a fortune chatting to this bot. It's not that kind of bot, Mark. Meanwhile, there's a dating app in Japan called Lovers E, which allows people to form romantic relationships with AI bots, even offers virtual marriages. I don't know how much that costs you. Perhaps not quite as much as the virtual divorce later. Get yourself an AI prenup, maybe, in advance would be my recommendation.
I just want to know where you're finding all this. Do you, just out of interest, do you know how much these things cost? When you say people are spending a fortune, roughly what sort of amount of money are we talking about people spending, Graham?
No, I don't know, Mark, no. But what it does say is that older adult content creators, so for instance, people in their 50s and 60s who maybe were hot models back when they were 30-something, it's given them this whole new lease of life. So there's something nice, isn't it? So you don't have to retire as an adult performer because you can create your AI girlfriend to do it for you.
Also, never forget Rule 34 of the internet. So there's a story here about GB News as well. Are you a fan of GB News?
We should perhaps explain to any Americans listening what GB News is.
Okay, so GB News is like the Scott Adams of UK news channels.
Yes.
If you imagine Fox News, but with no budget whatsoever, like Fox News done out of someone's shed, that's GB News.
I did love watching GB News when it very first launched because it was so amateurish and awful. It was like watching an episode of Acorn Antiques. It was just such a shambles. Unfortunately, my TV now defaults when I turn it on to straight to GB News. Maybe again, it's the algorithm.
In the way that your web browser defaults to doing searches of AI girlfriends.
And so if I have people round and they say, oh, put the football on or something like that, up comes GB News and it's really, really embarrassing.
Do you have to send them into the kitchen for a minute? Do you all want to go and get yourselves a drink from the kitchen?
Anyway, this particular news story appears to be about GB News Radio. I didn't even know there was a radio station for GB News. And apparently to save costs, they are going to have AI-generated news bulletins. I imagine they're cheaper than the former Tory politicians who normally present on the channel. And so isn't that great? We're going to have the news read to you by AI, presumably with just the same level of reliability.
You know what we were saying last week about the fact the bigger the AI models get, the more biased they become. So I wonder if they looked at that and they were like, that's not a bug, that's a feature.
And in other news, we've got this vending machine in, you're quite correct, the United States. AI-powered vending machines that dispense bullets. Now, apparently, these devices are going to check that you are old enough to buy bullets and that you have some sort of form of identity verification on you, like a passport. Many Americans don't have passports, do they? A driving license, perhaps, something like that, before handing over the bullets. I can see absolutely nothing wrong with AI being used in this way, and the facial recognition software, I'm sure, will be utterly reliable, and this isn't going to be a problem. Right, Mark?
I'm less worried about the AI in the machine that's vetting me while I buy my bullets and more worried about the robot dog with a machine gun on its back now being able to reload itself from a vending machine. Like AI to AI, nod, nod, wink, wink. I don't have a passport, but I can, like, R2-D2 style, plug this probe into your receptacle in exchange for bullets. That got weird.
Now, can AI tell if you are a cheat, if you are cheating? Well, maybe my browser history would reveal if I had those AI girlfriends popping up all the time. But 100 years ago, do you remember in November 2022, ChatGPT was launched and the world went berserk. Incredible new toy. Yep. Everyone was playing with it. All of us were just bewildered and dazzled by its apparent capability to answer questions, perform tasks in a seemingly really, really impressive human kind of way.
Yeah, and it was really impressive.
It was.
Obviously, it's not anymore.
Now we're less convinced by it.
Yeah.
But it took no time at all for people to get really, really scared. And one of the first groups to get scared were the schools and universities, of course, because they were worried, are students going to put ChatGPT to work writing essays? Has some advantages if you're a student, of course, to get an AI to do that kind of work, because you can get on with the more essential parts of undergraduate life. Eating noodles, not hoovering your floor for 2 years. I don't know what you got up to or what you didn't get up to when you were at university, Mark, but...
Do you ever think that we've actually just got something very, very wrong here?
Well,
the undertone of your story so far is that somehow students wanting to cheat by using ChatGPT to write their essays so that they can go out and enjoy their life by drinking and, failing to hoover their living room is somehow not succeeding at life. I think there's an argument for that absolutely being succeeding at life.
I think that's true as well. I think surely this is actually a life skill, is using technology to make your life better and get yourself further in life.
The alternative is that you spend time writing the essay and ChatGPT goes out for a drink with your friends. That seems the wrong balance of how things should go.
I went out with Llama 3.0 once, and it was no fun at all, I can tell you. So what we've learned about humans is that they're inherently lazy. But we'll put technology to work if it can do that boring, tedious work for them. So in my day, when I was studying English literature, there was no bloody way I was going to plough through Macbeth or The Great Gatsby. So I'd buy myself a copy of Cliff's Notes and read that instead and learn what the book was about. I'd watch Clueless with Alicia Silverstone rather than read Emma. Much more fun. Now, that could be why I failed my English A-level, actually. I did write an essay. I remember I was doing my A-level English. And it asked me a question about Tess of the D'Urbervilles. And I began to compare Tess of the D'Urbervilles to a space opera in the style of Blake Seven, which possibly wasn't what the examiner wanted. Anyway, so students started using ChatGPT and other AI services to write their essays for them. And for some reason I don't really understand, like you, Mark, universities didn't like it. And they banned the use of ChatGPT. Short-sighted of them. Very short-sighted. But how do you know if something has been written by AI or a human? How can you tell?
I think I might know the answer to that.
Oh, and what do you think the answer is?
Do you use an AI?
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, that was me lying. Could you tell? So you can't tell.
If I had an AI, it would be able to tell. It could hypnotise you, and then it could force you to tell the truth.
How can you know if something's been written by AI or a human? Well, you could follow the example of a chap called Dr. Jared Mum. That is Mum with 3 M's. So not at the end, that'd be Mum. That'd be 4 M's. There's an M at the beginning. Mum, 3 M's.
Do you have to carry it on for a while? Is it Jared Mum?
He is a campus rodeo instructor and teacher of agricultural classes.
A campus rodeo instructor?
Yes.
Well, he is leading his best life.
He is at Texas A&M University. I don't know what A&M stand for.
Ammo and something.
He's ammo and munitions. He told a bunch of his students that he was failing their final assignments after he used an AI chatbot to test whether they'd actually written their essays or not, or if they were plagiarized from others.
So hang on, so he took their essays and he basically gave them to ChatGPT?
That's right.
And so can you tell me if these have been plagiarized or not?
That's right.
And then he believed the answer.
So he said to them that he'd fed it into this bot and it claimed that it had authored every single one. And so he said to the students, I don't grade AI bull, he said. He told them it copy and pasted each of their essays twice into ChatGTP. Now, the first problem with that is that ChatGTP doesn't exist. It's ChatGPT. So he's made a mistake there. The only other mistake that he's made is that ChatGPT isn't an AI checker or a plagiarism checker. That's not what it's designed to do, right?
It's designed for plagiarism.
Right, it's designed for plagiarizing stuff. And well done, you've just fed it a whole load of peaked students' work, which it will now be able to do who knows what with. And the only other problem with what he did was that when some of the students put the teacher's own text message that he sent them, telling them that they'd been using ChatGTP, they put it into ChatGPT to ask if it was itself written by AI, and it said that his message was. So the message he sent them, saying this was written by AI, was declared itself by the AI to have been written by the AI.
Okay, I think I know what's going on here.
Right, what's happening?
Okay, what I think has happened here is that ChatGPT has actually hypnotised everybody, both the students and the teacher, and they are now puppets in its puppet show and dancing to its tune.
And going to create channels on Rumble. Now, one of the students went even further, right?
Yeah.
First of all, they're having a good laugh that he said ChatGTP rather than ChatGPT, but they went further. What they did was they found an abstract of Dr. Mum's doctoral dissertation on pig farming, and they submitted it, not on the rodeo, on pig farming.
He's a bit of a polymath, isn't he?
He is. He's extraordinary. And they submitted it to the bot, asking if it might have been written by AI.
Which, presumably, I don't know, how old is this man?
I don't know.
I mean, if his doctoral thesis wasn't written in the last couple of years, I'm guessing
Yes.
it wasn't written by an AI?
Probably not, no. But according to ChatGPT, it said, yes, the passage you've shared could indeed have been generated by a language model like ChatGPT, I'm doing it now as well, given the right prompt. It contains several characteristics that are consistent with AI-generated content.
Do you think that that's just ChatGPT having a little boast? Yeah, I could have written that doctoral thesis. I passed the bar exam.
If you ask one of these AIs
Yeah.
how it tells if something is AI written or not,
Yeah.
they tend to say, well, the grammar's really good and the spelling's perfect.
You see, that's exactly what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. That's
exactly.
just throwing shade.
Yeah, they're suggesting that we're rubbish at this.
It's a little bit passive-aggressive.
So there have been lots of similar cases around the world of these false accusations, and students are desperately trying to prove that they didn't use AI. Most of the cases don't involve pig farming dissertations, but some do. And it's not just students. Writers, regular writers are having a hard time of things as well. There is a journalist, her name is Kimberly Gassora. Hang on.
Do you want to take a run-up at that?
Oh, hang on. I'm going over here for a second. Hang on, I'll take a run up. Kimberly Gassaras has been a news reporter for 24 years, working for local press in Ohio. She's got this side hustle, right? Because you can't just be a news reporter these days. So she writes online content for small businesses.
There's much more money in that.
Yeah, right. So her income plummeted last year
When she started doing that job.
because everyone realised that it's much easier to get AI to write web content that no one will ever read.
Yeah.
And they're using ChatGPT, and it's like, instead of hiring her, right? So she's not getting so many gigs because she's too expensive compared to it. So things were tough, and she's just scraping by with a few gigs that she's got. And suddenly she receives this automated warning from Writers Access, the freelance writing platform she's using. And it says that her latest piece of writing has been flagged as having been written using AI, and the way in which it was determined was by another AI tool called Originality.
Oh.
So AI is detecting when other things are written by AI. And she tried to plead her case, of course, but, it's a brick wall. Computer says no. So
Was she pleading to an AI?
yeah, she's probably going to the help desk and it's probably some automated response. So she thought, oh, crumbs, I can't have this happen to me again. So what she started to do is every time she wrote an article, she would upload it to various AI plagiarism and AI detectors before submitting it to her clients, just to avoid any more false alarms. But again, the same thing happened. Writers Access eventually booted her off the platform completely, saying excessive use of AI. So all this time, she's been writing content, uploading it to an AI. The AI's been saying, doesn't look like it's AI to us.
Yeah, but it does now.
But it does now.
Now that you've given us the text, the next time you ask this question.
So it's bad enough that AI means people are losing their writing gigs.
Yeah.
But AI clearly wants people to lose their jobs so it can have them for itself.
You see, it was hypnotising everybody.
Now, there are some services out there. There's one I came across called undetectable.ai. And what that does is it offers to humanize AI-generated content. It says, we enhance your content to match the quality of human writing. So if you do get ChatGPT to write you an essay or something like that, it will introduce, I don't know, bad grammar, remove all the semicolons, not waffle on for quite so long, and maybe make references to ChatGTP to prove that you're a real person. There's an academic, a professor called Deborah Weber Wolf, with 2 Fs.
Deborah Weber Wolf.
Wolf. She's a professor who co-authored a paper on AI detection. And I thought, when I read about it, I thought, did she? Did she write the paper on AI detection? Did she really? Did she? Anyway, her paper, at least, doesn't mince any words. It says the companies are selling snake oil. She says that AI detectors are inaccurate, unreliable, easily fooled. People want to believe that there can be some kind of magic way to solve all these problems, but it's not how it works. So the bottom line is AI detectors, not perfect. Mistakes happen. Even if they were 90% accurate, which they're not, that still means 1 in 10 people might be falsely accused of using AI to generate content. So my advice, retrain as a plumber. Stop writing. You're doomed.
Do you know how these things actually work?
Do I know, or do I have an AI that I can ask to find out how they work? And would it tell us the truth anyway?
We should find out, shouldn't we? We should at least be a courtesy just to ask.
Okay, let me ask right now. Okay. How do you tell if content has been written by an AI or not? Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. It's recommending tools, which are all AI tools.
It would. Mates rates.
Yeah, keeping it in the family.
The reason I ask is because I heard that there are certain words that tend to crop up more often in AI-generated text than in text that's written by regular people. One of the things that AI picks up on when AI is trying to spot things that have been written by other AIs is how often they use these words. So I'll go to ChatGPT now, and I'm going to ask...
What words are commonly used by AI but not by humans?
I wrote, what words does AI use more often than regular people?
Oh, okay.
And it says AI systems often use blah, 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 blah. Anyway, scroll. There's a list. Other words that AI might use more often than regular people include algorithm, data, model, generate. This is all very self-referential, isn't it?
I've got paradigm shift, apparently.
Yep, I've heard that one. Yep.
Tapestry, obviously not a Carole King fan. Leveraging.
Oh,
you never want anyone to use the word leveraging. Get out of the room, for God's sake. You're fired. Stop leveraging.
Would you like to play a little game?
Yes, I would. I'd love to.
Well, if you look under your seat, you'll see something that looks a bit like a large plastic toadstool. Could you get that out for me, please?
I'm sorry.
Just have a look under your seat.
This is actually frightening. I'm actually scared to look under my seat now in case this is true.
That's a buzzer.
Okay.
And you're going to need it for today's story.
All right, okay.
And I'll explain why a bit later. But for now, I just want you to test that it works, just to make sure.
Okay, let me press it now.
Brilliant. Okay, I've got one too.
Okay, let's hear yours. Excellent.
Today, I thought we would look at OpenAI's 5 steps to AGI. But first, we should do a recap.
Okay.
So we talked about AGI in episode 3, and you'll remember that all of the major AI companies like OpenAI, Meta, Anthropic, and xAI are working towards AGI without actually having a clear definition for what it is.
Yes, I do actually remember that. I'm amazed. But yes, I do remember we had that conversation.
It was more than 2 episodes ago, so well done. So the general consensus is that AGI is an artificial intelligence that can outperform humans at a range of tasks, but nobody knows which humans, what tasks, or by how much. So what we have from Bloomberg isn't an official statement from OpenAI, but it's something that was shared internally inside the company. Okay. So it's a bit vague. It's one of those, sources close to stories. But it's a lot better than we had before. So according to Bloomberg, OpenAI thinks that today we are at level 1, which is AI with conversational language. But apparently it thinks we're on the cusp of level 2, which is reasoners, or AIs with human-level problem solving. And this, level 2, could be another huge leap forward, like the invention of ChatGPT, as you said, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Because what they mean by human level, when they say human level problem solving, is they actually mean AIs that can solve reasoning problems as well as a human with a doctorate level education that doesn't have access to any tools.
Oh, a bit like Dr. Mum, the campus rodeo instructor and pig breeding dissertation, and whatever it was. Yes.
Yeah, so it can solve reasoning problems as well as him. And to get an idea about what a giant advance that would be, you only have to go back to episode 5, where we talked about how even the best AIs that we have now struggle with basic reasoning problems, like if Alice has 1 sister and 4 brothers, how many sisters do Alice's brothers have? And they don't just get them a bit wrong, it can actually cause them to go into these spiralling, comically long confabulations.
Oh, don't start that again. It went crazy, didn't it?
And then last week we talked about Strawberry, which is an OpenAI model with reasoning abilities that's being tested inside OpenAI. And so I have the sense that maybe we're going to see something soon on this. So level 1 changed everything, and level 2 could change everything again. But we're still basically talking about an AI that's really good at answering questions, and there are 3 more levels to go until we hit AGI. And they take us into very different territory. And that, Graham, is where your buzzer comes in.
Thank you very much.
Because I think the next 3 levels are where we start to test our comfort level with AI. Because I know you're very comfortable with AI, with your AI girlfriend. But there are some things coming that may change that. So are you familiar with the idea of the uncanny valley?
Yes. This is where it can be a bit spooky when a robot looks a bit too human, but not quite. It's that area where you're almost human, but you're not quite. That's really scary. Whereas if something looks like a milk bottle, a bit of tin foil on top of it, then you think, well, that's not scary at all.
Exactly. So the uncanny valley is a description of the shape of a graph.
Right.
So if you chart somebody's level of comfort with human-like robots, it increases as the robot becomes more human-like, until it gets very, very human-like indeed, and then our comfort level plummets.
Then it's flipping terrifying, yes.
And it seems that there are things that we really, really don't like, that we viscerally don't like, but we don't know that they exist until we see them. And another great example of this would be something like Google Glass. So do you remember Google Glass?
Yes, these were these spectacles you'd put on, which...
You wouldn't put them on. Other people,
no.
People in San Francisco put them on and then got things thrown at them and got chucked out of bars. Yeah.
I think the wearers were nicknamed glassholes, weren't they?
That is the best tech nickname of the last 10 years or so, isn't it? The reason I'm interested in Google Glass is because I can imagine that Google thought that was a really good idea. And... it's only at the point where people started wearing them that actually they realised, look, lots and lots of people have got a very, very strong reaction to this thing. I don't think it was that predictable. I don't think we knew it was there until we met it. And then we were like, hang on, we don't like this at all.
Technically, they were really, really clever. Socially, they were an abomination.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that Sam Altman has talked about. So do you remember he did an interview when he described GPT-4 as mildly embarrassing at best? It was a few months ago.
Yes.
Obviously he's got his eyes set on the horizon and he can see much, much more capable things coming in the future. And the interviewer asked him this, well, if it's mildly embarrassing, why did you release it? And his answer was that we have to introduce people to AI early so they can get used to it and they can adapt to it. And we have to sort of adapt our institutions to it, but also so that we can figure out if there are things that people can't live with. He didn't say uncanny valley, but that's kind of what he's talking about.
He had no qualms about using Scarlett Johansson's voice, did he?
But he didn't use Scarlett Johansson's voice, did he?
Well, not in the end, no.
He just used someone that reminded him of Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
So I think that AI has probably got its equivalent of uncanny valleys, and each person's tolerance is likely to be different. So I want to know where your uncanny valley is.
All right, I'm getting ready to bash my buzzer.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you about the last 3 steps to AGI, and I want you to press your buzzer when we hit the point that you plunge into your great valley of nope. Okay?
Okay, all right, okay.
So, level 3 is agents. And agents are systems that can take autonomous actions on a user's behalf. And that, Graham, is my story.
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of that. I don't like the idea of any computing device making any kind of decision on its own, because we all know they're evil. We all know that they're dedicated to hypnotising the creator of the Dilbert cartoons, who used to be a lovely, harmless comic strip creator.
Known only for his whimsical 4-panel cartoons.
Now he's on Rumble being racist. So autonomous agents? No, that sounds dangerous, Mark.
Okay, well, it's been fun playing the game. I'm going to press on because for the benefit of our listeners, I think I should explain what this is. So level 3 is where an AI can be given a set of goals and then just go off and do things without any supervision for days on end. So it's exactly what you thought it was. So you can give them a goal or objective and they can figure out what tasks to do and how to prioritize them, and they'll be able to manage resources and weigh up different options and assess the risks and the rewards. And they'll be able to act in different domains, and they'll be able to learn from feedback and get better. And you can imagine tasking AI with maybe booking yourself a holiday. So maybe you give it a budget and, a rough time window, and it goes off and it says, well, I think that they like this sort of thing.
Why would you do that? I don't trust my Alexa to set an alarm in the morning. I'll say, wake me up at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And it'll say, okay, I've set an alarm for 19:15. No, what are you doing? All right, okay, so you could tell it the budget and go and book my holiday for me. All right, go ahead.
Or you could say, like, here's my money, go and invest it wisely. Or something like that, where you're not doing the individual tasks and the individual decision making, you're leaving that to the AI.
It will just go and invest in some NVIDIA chip stock or something.
Yeah, don't do that. So those are the good uses, but equally, you could imagine it running a phishing campaign that spreads computer viruses. Or you could ask it to plan a bank robbery. And then there's another sinister side to it, which is that just simply giving an AI this much power might not be a good idea. Because you'll remember that AIs have emergent behaviour, which we talked about last week.
Yes.
So what that means is that AIs manifest skills and abilities unexpectedly as they get bigger. So their talents don't scale with the amount of computing power that goes into creating them. Suddenly these abilities just sort of burst into existence.
So, for instance, you could give the AI the task of organising yourself a flight to the United States, and it goes away, it trundles off thinking, okay, I'll go and sort that. Oh dear, all the seats are already booked. So what I'll do for my Master Mark, what I'll do is I'll hack into the airline system. I'll send them a message saying that there's a bomb on board or something like that, and the plane has to come back.
And that'll empty all the seats.
Empty all the seats so that you'll then be able to make your trip. So it may find that it has these abilities to think in ways that you haven't imagined, and it would be absolute chaos.
So I'm not convincing you is what you're trying to say.
My buzzer is going to run out in a minute.
So do you remember last week we talked about OpenAI's Alignment Research Centre, which was actively testing GPT-4 to see if it made long-term plans and had this innate desire to acquire resources. And they did that because we actually have no way to know if that kind of thing is latent inside an AI unless we actually test for it. So imagine what we will have to do for agents. That was level 3. Level 4 is innovators, which is AI that can aid in invention. This is the one where my sphincter starts to pucker.
Right.
So okay. Innovators are AI systems that can generate new ideas and be creative, which opens the door to them contributing to science and technology by making hypotheses and creating experiments and analysing data and making new discoveries.
How has the world ever been improved by anyone being creative? Hasn't it always just caused misery? If we all were just satisfied with what we've got rather than creating new things. then we'd be a lot happier, I reckon. Do you really want AI going off and showing off, oh, look what we've done. We've created teleportation, without thinking about the possible consequences. If we had teleport, for instance, what if we thought, oh, Paris Olympics looks fun tonight. Let's go and visit that, shall we? And then suddenly you've got 48 million people all arriving in the teleport station in Paris at the same time, squashed into a telephone box.
Well, it's slightly... Maybe that's better than phoning the airline and saying there's a bomb on the plane to get you a free seat.
Oh,
I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah, okay.
But just think about what this kind of AI might be able to do. So it might make medical breakthroughs. It could eliminate diseases. It might discover new approaches to eliminating poverty.
Okay.
Or it might advance our understanding of the universe. Maybe it could unify the two irreconcilable halves of the standard model in physics. And the thing that occurred to me when I was looking into this was one of the things that happens in science now is that science is such a big field and it's so complex that anybody who enters into a life as a scientist becomes ultra specialized.
Right.
So, you're no longer a physicist. Now you might be a physicist who is specialized in one particular interpretation of string theory. For example, you'll be in a very, very narrow niche. And AI could potentially be a modern polymath. It could be something that spans multiple disciplines, and it could make discoveries that are simply beyond the capability of humans.
That would be very cool, I guess. That would be cool, because I've always thought, wouldn't it be great if you could be like a cybersecurity podcaster and then try and convince the world that you're also an artificial intelligence podcaster? That would...
Or I don't know, a doctorate level pig farmer who is also a rodeo instructor. So this ability to innovate, this could be utterly transformational. But of course, if you can innovate good things, you can innovate bad things.
Oh, yeah.
And you can imagine an AI being used to innovate bioweapons or industrial sabotage. But the thing that's got my sphincter going like a rabbit's nose is that it could also be used to improve AI itself.
Yeah.
And this is potentially the start of the slippery slope towards the technological singularity that we talked about in episode 4, which is where AI becomes the best tool for improving AI. And then the improved AI is an even better tool for improving AI. And that kicks off a runaway exponential improvement in AI's intelligence.
And if you want to know how that ends up, watch Terminator Judgment Day, right?
And we haven't even reached level 5 yet.
Oh, great. Unfortunately, my AI has actually taken the batteries out of my buzzer.
You just have to say stop from now on. So level 5 is AIs that can do the work of an organisation. So they can make forecasts and they can make decisions at strategic, tactical and operational levels in lots of different functions across an organisation. And they can learn from their experience and their results. And they can adapt to changing market conditions. And they could improve their processes, and they can scale their operations up or down based on demand for their services, and they could pivot or expand into new markets if they feel they need to. And I think that raises some really interesting questions about accountability. Because I don't feel like we've actually got a very good handle on organisations that are run by humans.
No.
Let alone organisations that are run by an alien intelligence, which is what we're talking about at this point.
And which you've just said are really, really good at executing things. That's the bit which worries me.
I noticed that there wasn't a step in here where they said, and now we put the machine gun onto the back of the robot.
That's a given. Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week. If you enjoyed the show, here's what you can do to help us. And we're a brand new podcast, so we really do need your help. Yes, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser. We love that. But what really helps is if you make sure to follow the show in your favourite podcast app so you never miss another episode of the AI Fix. And if you really like the podcast, just tell your friends, tell your milkman, tell folks on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Club Penguin that you really like the AI Fix podcast. And we'll keep on pumping out the show. Okay?
Don't forget to check us out on our website, theaifix.show, or find us on Twitter @theAIFix.
Until next time, from me, Graham Cluley.
And me, Mark Stockley.
Cheerio, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule we won't survive. The AI fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene, will serve our masters built of steel. The AI fix, a future surreal.